Today we are decluttering our presentation slides. Thanks to Marie Kondo, I now appreciate a more minimalist lifestyle. It got me thinking though that her philosophy doesn't just apply to the living room. It can also be extended to the way that we design our slides. Instead of asking the question, does it spark joy? Today we're going to be asking the question, does it bring value to my presentation? A common practice that I've seen is the use of generic titles like introduction, background, conclusion. To be honest, the first thing you can get rid of is this generic title, and instead, let's use the title section to say something more meaningful about our slide. So instead of saying introduction, how about a thought-provoking question? Instead of saying conclusion, how about a phrase that summarizes your message? Think of it this way. Would you prefer to walk into a restaurant that simply says restaurant on the outside? Or would you prefer to know what it's actually about? Same concept. If you have a question and answer session scheduled at the end of your presentation, it's pretty obvious that you are open to taking questions. So having a slide that says any questions is pretty redundant. Instead, here's a more meaningful substitute. Consider adding a slide with your top takeaways or a summary diagram. By looking at the summary, your audience relives your presentation in their minds and they're prompted to ask better questions. A lot of people feel the need to have a thank you slide to end their presentation. But to be honest, you don't need a slide to say thank you. You could just do that with your own words. I have a video here on word Cortex where I emphasize the importance of ending with a bang. I'm going to link that video up there so you can check it out and learn how to end your presentation to have a lasting impact. And no, it doesn't need a thank you slide. This is a bit of a controversial one, having the company's logo on every single slide. But remember, we're asking the question, does this bring value to my message? And apart from the opening and ending slide, having the company's logo appear on every single slide doesn't really do much. To be honest, when you get rid of the logo, you'll appreciate how much more space you have to expand those images or to increase the font size, which in turn leads to a better audience experience. Also, you, my friend, are a living and breathing extension of the company's brand, which is way better than a little logo that appears on the slides. But like I said, this is a bit of a controversial one, so let me know in the comments below. Are you required to have your company's logo on every single slide? Or can you get away with having it on the first and the last slide? I'd love to hear from you. This one makes me so angry. It happens in every single conference. There's always one speaker that shows up with a huge, bulky table on their presentation and then has the nerve to ask the audience, can you see this at the back? No, if you have 15 columns and 8 rows, there's no way anyone can see it at the back. So bulky tables, they do not belong to your presentation. Instead, ask yourself, what section from this table do I actually need for my slide? Once you've identified those sections, replot them on PowerPoint, and then use that space to increase the font size so your audience has a better experience. Before I move on to the next point, if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join this word Cortex family. Together, you and we're gonna make sure that no one shows up with a bad presentation. That's a promise. Okay, moving along. Now, I don't even know why someone would add page numbers on their slides, but I've seen this way too many times in academia. I think the belief came from this misconception that you need to have one slide every minute of your presentation. So the misconception is if you're speaking for 10 minutes, you may need to have 10 slides. Instead of designing your presentation in a slide-centric manner, consider designing it in an idea-centric manner. This way, your idea can span across one or multiple slides, and you certainly don't need page numbers for your presentation. Okay, I get it. It's fun to make things 3D with a click of a button. But every time I've seen a three-dimensional chart, I've always wondered what to focus on. And if we ask ourselves the question, does the third dimension actually bring any value to our message? The answer is no. Which means we don't need these 3D charts, people. We just need the clean, two-dimensional charts. I feel like sometimes we add these tacky clip arts from the 90s because we just don't know what to do with all this empty space on our slides. A philosophy I learned from the book The Presentation Zen is design, don't decorate. Let's learn to appreciate and fall in love with the empty space on our slides, because empty space also forms a design element. If you look at all of the branding of Apple, they use empty space really well to make an important point. If they can do it, so can we. And nobody needs to use clip arts. When your audience sees a slide with way too many labels, they just don't know what to focus on first. So to make a better audience experience, the least that you could do is get rid of these labels, focusing on just the parts that you're speaking about on that slide. If you're unable to get rid of these labels, then what you could do is use colors to highlight the parts that you're speaking about. There's this common misconception here on YouTube where people believe that adding fancy animation somehow leads to a good presentation. As much as we are drawn to these snazzy, swirly, color-changing animations, adding them to our presentation ends up distracting our audience and taking the focus away from our message. So before you choose an animation, ask the question, does this bring value to my message? If the answer is no, then Marie Kondo style, say thank you and get rid of it. I have saved the best for the last. I mean, who here is not guilty of adding too much text on their slides? But every time we are tempted to copy and paste a paragraph of text, let's ask this question. Does this serve my audience? Or is it just here to help me remember? 9 of 10 times, it's just here to help us remember. And that's doing a disservice to our audience. Designing more meaningful slides means making it easier for your audience. So swap out that text for a more engaging image and use all the text material through your spoken words instead. This is such a common topic that I plan to make a separate video on how to handle texty slides. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell so you're in the loop of any of my future videos. I hope you are now inspired to design more beautiful and meaningful slides for your next presentation. If you do, please tag me on Instagram. I'm at Cortex. I would love to see it and cheer you on. Thank you for watching. I'm so grateful for you, and I'll see you next time.